Good morning, Yesh Allah, and good morning, world. To the 12 tribes, having been scattered abroad, out from and away from our homeland that has been preoccupied by the lying heathen. Yet, we are commanded by our high priest and Malak, the one by whom the book of Revelation is named Hamashiach, the revelation of Hamashiach that we study right now, because we are in the sealing time, preparing for his return. And so he has assured us of our task to proclaim his coming as we are careful to do. We would not want him to come and meet us, not giving attention to his order. And so here we go. Our lesson today is eating flesh of pigs. Yes, indeed. It's about that time that as we are being prepared by the Ruach of Alahayim and Hamashiach, that we put on our beautiful garments. Awake, awake, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Yerushalayim. Hey Kataba. And if you have begun to get cleaned up, imagine how terrible it is, and the appearance of it, that you get all cleaned up and you have as your special treat a whole bunch of unclean food to satisfy yourself with. We know, according to the Apocrypha, in the times when Yasha was having many challenges with Esau as the Greeks, and as Antiochus and others of his ilk determined to impose themselves upon the house of Yehuda, because the tribes were contending with scattering. And so the Greeks, as they continued to prepare themselves to destroy the temple, officially, they were gearing up, flexing their muscles and flexing their satanic and demonic protocols. See, by this time, Esau had already been down to the south of his homeland, and fathered his children. With the breakup of himself and Jacob concerning the birthright, Esau departed and went west. All right. And of course, Jacob was basically near to the homeland, having migrated into Mitzrayim with Abraham, first of all, then Yitzhak, and Jacob. We find that having entered into Mitzrayim, the Heavenly Father used Joseph to interpret Pharaoh's dream, and so brought help for Mitzrayim and rescue from starvation. But after all that mercy shown to Mitzrayim by the Most High, and the ministry of Joseph to Pharaoh and the nation of Israel, they still made room for Gadriel, Satan, the fallen one, who came down with the watchers. All right, and so by this time of the entrance of Yasha'Allah into Mitzrayim, the fall had already taken place because of Gadriel and his entourage fallen from the Shamayim. They were fallen from the Shamayim long before then, but they moved into the work of overcoming the first couple, Adam and Hawa. And so here, when we look at the breakup of the brotherhood of Jacob and Esau, when they parted, I think according to Bereshith chapter, which chapter is it? I'm not going to look for it right now, but maybe around the 32nd chapter, somewhere around there, when they departed from each other after making the crocodile tears. Esau went south, where he entered into his homeland. You know the name of his homeland, the mountainous homeland. Oh, let me see if I can find it. It's getting away from me right now. Esau went into his what do you call it? His mountainous homeland. His dwelling place in the hills. Uh, I wish someone was near to help me. Uh, Mount Seir. That's it. When they broke up, Esau and Yaquab, or Yaquab and Esau, when they departed from one another, Esau went to the south. Maybe that's better said as the west, I believe, into Mount Seir, where the Horites were. So them, Esau, and the Horites um, united. They form a united front between them. But Yaquab, of course, having entered into Mitzrayim by the direction of the Most High, saved Mitzrayim from starvation. And for that, in the later years, Mitzrayim put them in slavery, deep, brutal enslavement for the good that they had done. And uh, with the coming, with the coming out of Mitzrayim from that enslavement, and being brought through the Sea of Reeds by the mighty power of Yahweh and the blessed Ruach, Yasha Allah, made their way into Canaan, the homeland, and began to set up shop, form into their own nation. Of course, by that time, as we see in Bereshit chapter 30, 36, I believe it is. Well, let's make sure what it is. It is indeed Bereshit 36 that Esau went into Mount Seir. That would have been, I think, a westerly direction from the homeland. And so he set up camp in the midst of the Horites. And having Yasha Allah having overcome Mitzrayim themselves, that is the 12 tribes, began to occupy their homeland in Canaan. We'll fast forward to the time of Yasha Allah in their own land, and now being contested by Esau, who has become the Greeks after serving some time under King David. Well, at first Esau was allowed to serve Yashala for a short duration. I think I should say they serve Yashala anyhow with King Shaul. Esau served through Amalek's reign. Amalek had already made contact with the Horites and devoted himself to the cause of Satan, the demons. But he comes out from there and makes contact with his people, and found that Yashala was occupying their homeland, and he made an attempt to flex his muscle, and King Shaul, had a little dance with Amalek, and then Amalek danced with him, and made some inroads into Yashala, into the nation. Well, fortunately, the Most High, Yahweh, removed Shaul, because Shaul was, kind of allowing himself to be swayed by Amalek. And Amalek was gaining strength over Yashala. You must see now that Amalek had already contracted with the Horites and given himself directly over to Satan. But he comes under the color of honoring Yashala and giving service to the nation. First at King Shaul, and Amalek gave Shaul a run for his money. Stole the people from under Shaul, and caused quite a stir. And out of that contention between Shaul and Amalek, Shaul lost his life by turning away from the Most High and seeking to save Amalek, and consorting unto the witch of Andor. Well, the Most High anointed David, and David put down Amalek in fine style. Put him down, although he was already in bed officially with Satan and the demons. But David put him down. And then first of all, in the battle with Yehoshua and Moshe had battle with Amalek before Shaul and David. See, Amalek gave himself to Satan and began to grow in strength. The power of the prophecy brought him into obedience, that he served for a while, a little bit with King Shaul and more with King David. He served. And then in the reign of Solomon, Esau, Amalek, as the leader for the Edomites, for Esau, Amalek broke away from Solomon and went into Greece. that's how the implements of slavery were begun and set up by Amalek in Greece. All right. So we give you a brief history on that. When we fast forward to the time of the Maccabees, and we see Esau flexing, really flexing in the power of the satanic that he had contracted when he left off from Yaikua, and they went their separate ways. Amalek went into Mount Seir and dwelled with the Horites and learned the works of Satan thoroughly, sold himself completely. And so, after serving Shaul for a short while and David, as I said, as the scriptures say, in the reign of Solomon, Amalek broke away from, serving Yasha and made his trek into Greece and set up his kingdom according to the dictates of the kingdom of darkness. And from there, you had the Grecian Empire that began to really have an effect on Yasha Allah. And had a destructive effect on the nation of Yasha Allah. So, up to this time, really no more mention was made of the pact that Esau had made with Satan through the Horites. And Esau's grandson, the bastard Amalek, that came through Esau's first son, Eliphaz, who married the Horite daughter. And this was a concubine for Eliphaz, the son of Esau. And thus Amalek became a bastard. In any case, in the Maccabean era, with the Grecians, Esau chose to name himself, the Grecians. They had some serious battles with Yasha Allah and strengthening themselves in their relationship with Satan, with Gadriel, and the demons. They were making some inroads on Yasha Allah and causing havoc to be made of that nation. Finally, scattering Yasha Allah to the four winds, according to the prophecy of Mashiach in Luke 21. Well, we want to look at some of the effect of Amalek's way of life and what he had come to put upon Yasha Allah in the Grecian rule. You know that Amalek got so rank that Epiphanes set up, the idols on the altars of Yasha'Allah that were consecrated to the Most High, and demanded that the broken up tribes of Yasha'Allah that were scattered, first scattered by Nebuchadnezzar, and the other kings had rule over Yasha'Allah, and eventually Amalek, Esau, came up out of Greece with the ships and took the tribes into captivity. And from then, the full-scale war with Esau was on display for the whole world to see, as it has been conducted and noted in the scriptures of truth, and noted by our Mashiach himself. For in the days of Caesar, under the rule of Pilate and Herod, of Esau, of Amalek, the Mashiach was crucified by Amalek, who was stealing the name of the 12 tribes and renamed it Jews, renamed it Jewry. This is what Amalek did. And thus we have had this wrangling going on, with the Jews and Gentile thing, with Amalek using his satanic and demonic authority to reset or set the pace and reset the pace according to Satan. And we have the understanding now of the way the wars, the way the wars went, or the skirmishes of the wars between Yasha'Allah, the scattered house of Yahweh, of Judah so-called, and the Grecians. This was the war between the scattered or the fallen ones of Yasha'Allah and Amalek that renamed themselves Jews. That's what Amalek did. And under the banner of the Grecians, by name Amalek, Mashiach was set at naught. First by his own people, Yasha'Allah, who refused to, in large part, in large numbers, they refused to acknowledge him as their king, as their Malach, as their set apart one, as their redeemer. And they hooked up, as I might say, with Amalek they were more in favor with being a help to the enemy. It was that satanic and demonic influence pushing them. Of course, because of the women, because of our first mother Hawa, who gave herself to the will of the serpent. Amalek coming with that same serpentine view of life. I have to guess, maybe, that is what attracted the women in Yasha'Allah and made them willing to sacrifice the nation because of this satanic and demonic influence coming through Amalek that was reminiscent of Gadriel entering the garden and influencing our first mother. According to the book of Anukh, the book of Anukh tells us that it was Gadriel who were among the fallen watchers that came down. It was he that deceived Mother Hawa. And with Amalek now further on, giving himself fully to the will of Satan as a son of Esau, they had a camouflage that they were working under that was apparently not fully understood by Yasha'Allah. And so, the relationship was topsy-turvy, as would be said, up and down. And there seemed to have not been a firm determination as to who Amalek was according to his servitude to the God that he was serving. It was not fully understood, I guess. So it appears. But when the Mashiach came, he laid the matter straight. Matter of fact, many of the apostles and the prophets showed a clarity of understanding in their association of the Grecians with the work of Satan. In the different areas up in the north, where Gadriel hid himself and made Esau hide himself up in the north. In those areas up in the north, those churches that the apostles went to minister unto, is the area where Gadriel hid himself in the north. And Esau was right behind him, hiding himself up in the north and removing himself from a central public view. So he was up in the north, setting up shop, setting up kingdom, and having an effect on the lives and the work of the apostles as they endeavored to teach the brethren, to teach those of Yasha'Allah who were under the spell of Gadriel and the spell of Esau, seeming not to recognize what really was happening. But then you had the feminine view that had its effect on the nation. The women were desirous of sharing kingdom with Gadriel, and it had a huge effect on the leadership of the men and caused serious turnover of the kingdom. that we are still battling right now. And it has taken the authoritative revelation of Hamashiach in his book by the name Revelation to expose the fullness of the knowledge of Amalek and his workings after the order of Gabriel, Satan, whereby we now can stand firm by the knowledge of Hamashiach and his clarification of Amalek and Esau's true colors, who he was before he committed himself openly to his relationship with Satan. He was hiding it and with a pretense, that he actually wanted birthright. But he had a secret relationship with Satan that he wished to spring it upon the 12 tribes. But he had a long run. And those battles with the Grecians, those battles of for instance, Antiochus, those battles with the Maccabees. These battles were as a result of the Horite relationship that Esau, Eliphaz, Esau's son, who fathered Amalek, of the Horite daughter, whereby Esau takes his genealogy. That's why you have heard them. I'm sure many of you have heard people that call themselves Jews, the Jewish. They have related their genealogy as being bound to the woman that was the Horite daughter that Esau's son, his eldest son Eliphaz, had fathered, that became the demonic nation we now know as the Jews. So the 400 years enslavement of Yasha was totally under the direction of Satan and the demons through Esau, who was real good at camouflaging himself and making himself appear as a genuine article of humanity. But he had formed that union that he apparently, to all appearances, that he has loved so much that today he names himself as his genealogy being of the woman that was Timnah, the Horite daughter that their forefather Eliphaz had relationship with, and had his bastard son Amalek, the father of the people who today call themselves Jews, the one who in Pilate and Herod created that memorable document, the Nicene Creed. I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. The Nicene Satanic and demonic creed from Amalek that has affected the world. And has made its memorable trek across the nations of the earth. So, but I want to make mention as we're going on of the dietary effect that Amalek has had on us. As the people of the Most High, having fallen away from him, our forefathers fell into the uncleanness of the eating of the foods of the nations, whereas the dietary laws show us in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14 and Leviticus for 2 or 3 chapters from chapter 11, 12, and I was supposed to check whether it goes into chapter 13. But in Leviticus from chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14, we have the setup, the setting out of the dietary laws that shows us what foods the Most High specifies for us to eat and not to eat. We know, of course, that in the reign of the Grecians, under Amalek, of course, yes, they were being forced to partake of the unclean food. We remember the stories of the slavery, how it was conducted, wherein Amalek, as the Frenchman, had feeding troughs of unclean food for Yasha Allah to partake of, full of unclean food, pigs, piglets, pig snout, pig ears, pig guts, pig, and a whole lot of other unclean stuff that our people, our fathers and mothers had to eat. Here in the Bahamas, we have partaken of Esau's abominations. We had the pig feet, the pig tail, pig snout, pig ears. We were pigged out and still pig out unto this day, because many of our people have not received love of the truth, to be taught and shown better that we may be saved. So we give you a reminder right now. We're going to continue this lesson further on for our edification as we prepare to be sealed for the coming of our Mashiach. Praise of the Most High Yahweh and the Blessed Ruach. In His name, the name of our Mashiach, we give thanks, honor, and esteem. So let it be.